Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. In this episode, we are talking about creating a life that you want. It's so important that you understand you have the power and the freedom to create whatever you want in your life. And your life, exactly as it is right now, is a reflection of your choices. They're not choices made by other people. You're not just a victim to your circumstances. You participate in the life you live through the choices that you make. So it's really important that you recognize you and you alone have the power to decide to create whatever you want. And then you and you alone get to choose at every single point of your journey what you give your awareness and intention to. This is what ultimately creates your life. So I want you to think about your life as it is right now. Is it a reflection of what you want? Now, here's a question that my family and I were recently talking about that had us all easily tap into our answers. The question is, if you got to live another life, what would you want to do with that life? Name 5 things. It was so fascinating because we all rattled off very easily the 5 things we would do with our life. Every single person within a matter of 5 minutes was able to answer this question. And that really got me thinking, why is it so hard in this life when we ask ourselves what we want to actually answer the question? And the reason is because of all the stories and the lies we tell ourselves about our capacity and ability to live and choose the things we want. We limit ourselves by our experiences in the past. So if our experiences in the past are not aligned with our desires and what we want, we tell ourselves we can't do that because we haven't experienced it in the past, or because we have tried in the past and we failed in some way. We also tell ourselves that our circumstances, or even the gifts, the strengths, and the weaknesses that we were given in this life mean that we can't choose certain things in this life, but we can choose others. I also want to call BS on that as well, because you get to decide what you choose to nurture, what you choose to refine and develop. You do not need to be the best person at any given skill in order to pursue it. You get to choose. You get to decide whether you want to evolve and progress a particular skill, whether you want to try something completely new, or whether you want to stay with the skills and the gifts you already have. In my opinion, throughout your life, you'll be doing a combination of these. You'll be looking at your inherent gifts that you came into this world with, and you'll be nurturing and exploring those. And you'll also be learning new skills. You'll be getting better at things you're just not really good at. And that's going to help you have a different perspective of those particular skills and also be able to support your gifts in different ways that are unique to you and set you apart from everyone else. Stop trying to be the best at everything and letting that be your excuse for why you're not pursuing something. For instance, over the past year, I've been pursuing a hobby, something that I never thought I would do as an adult, but when I look back, it was something I was naturally doing when I was a child. But I told myself that this isn't something I'm gifted at. Over the past year, I naturally, through life's flow, started to develop this interest within myself. And you know what I discovered? Actually, I've got more ability and talent than I realized. And regardless of that, I don't even care because it's something I love so much. So now I'm so dedicated to progressing and learning this skill so that I can one day look back and be able to see the progress I've made. Now, if I told myself I had to be the best at that or I had to be naturally talented at that, I wouldn't have pursued that skill. If you want to know what the skill is, it's dancing, and I love it. And I had all these stories that I'm not a dancer, I don't have a dancer's body, I'm not natural with my fluidity and movement, and yet I love dancing and I always have. And now I see myself getting better at dancing. I see myself getting stronger. I see myself being able to flow more easily. And I'm so glad that I followed that interest because I never would have discovered this aspect of myself. It was also the same with personal development, coaching, and creating a business. I was a lawyer. I didn't see myself as creative in any way. But as I followed my curiosities, somehow I landed in the personal development world. Somehow I ended up studying coaching, and somehow I followed the call to create a business. And I went from someone who never created anything to being an extraordinarily creative person, and also seeing how that story in itself was completely wrong. I actually have always been a creative person. I just didn't see what I was doing in the past as creative. You might resonate with this story too. So when it comes to absolutely every aspect of your life, whether it's the 7 different areas of your life, whether it's the way you live your day-to-day and your lifestyle, whether it's your career or a business that you run, or perhaps your relationship either with a romantic partner or anyone else in your life, you get to personally design every single aspect of your life to be an embodiment of and a reflection of what you ultimately desire. Now, one of the main reasons we don't live or choose to embody our desires is because we tell ourselves that there's something wrong, or even that we're greedy or selfish or self-centered for following and pursuing our desires. We tell ourselves stories like this: I should just be happy with what I have. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be happy with what you have. It always helps to accept where you are and to look at your life through a lens of gratitude and abundance. So you are accepting and you are grateful for what you have. And you also recognize that you are the one who decides what you give your time, attention, and intention to. And you can choose anything, absolutely anything. The way I love to look at desire is as follows. Your desires were given to you for a reason. They were given to you so that you would follow them, because you would discover something about yourself in that process. So we're not here to judge our desires as to whether they're good or bad. We're here to acknowledge them and then make choices to align with them. And through that journey of aligning with the desire, you will learn something about yourself along the way. Now, sometimes you'll actually realize the desire, bring the dream to life in its entirety, and that's amazing. And then other times along the way, you'll learn something about yourself and something further about what you want that will help shape your dreams and desires and help you to pivot and go in a different direction that was slightly different to what you originally intended. That is beautiful and great as well. So sometimes we're meant to bring the full dream, the full desire to life, and other times those desires are leading us to deeper desires along the way. It's your job. In fact, I would argue it's your purpose to follow your desires so that you can reach and experience and align with your purpose and potential in this life. It's your job to respect your desires, and it's your job to create the life that you want. Everything that I teach comes down to supporting my clients and you listening or watching this podcast right now to create the life you want, whether it's a business, whether it's your life as a whole, or whether it's your love life and your relationships across your life as a whole. You get to design them so that they reflect your desires. You get to use your desires to grow as a person. And to get you started on that, I have some questions for you to answer today that will help you identify what your desires are and also start to see how you can begin moving towards them. The first question is this: if you could do anything with your life and it was another life that you were living, what would you do? Pick at least 5 things. Secondly, what are you putting up with in your life right now? Putting up with means things that you're simply settling for or tolerating, but it's not truly what you want to experience. The third question is, what frustrates you about your life right now? If you could change anything, what would it be? I love to use our frustrations and the things that we're putting up with to help us reveal what our desires are. So with your answers to those last two questions, I then want you to ask yourself, well, what is the desire here? So look at your list of what you're putting up with and what you're tolerating, and look at your list of your frustrations. And then for every single aspect of that list, I then want you to ask yourself, what do I really desire here? Sometimes it's really easy because it's the complete opposite of what we put on our list. Other times we need to go a little deeper to understand why that particular thing frustrates us or why we feel like we're settling in some way. That will help you to reveal what the actual desire is. And then you have your list of desires. Now what we want to do is realign your life so that you're actively moving towards your desires. Remember, the point isn't to immediately be living the life that you desire. The point is to make sure you're moving towards your desires, because that's what you have control over. So you want to ask yourself, as you look at your list of desires, are you embodying that list of desires? Are you actually living those desires right now? Or are you actively moving towards them? And if you're not, the last question is to ask, how can I move towards these desires today? It's really important that you add that today to this question, because that will show you what you do have control over, rather than seeing all of these desires as so far out of reach. You start to give perspective to what you do have control over. Well, today, an action I can take to embody these desires or to move towards them is this. We want to focus on 1% shifts, on small steps towards our desires. This gives you motivation and it helps you feel a sense of empowerment and control that you're actually choosing what to focus your attention on, and it's actually aligned and moving you towards the life you want. It also helps you to see that you can take action today. And by taking that action, you then build confidence, you feel empowered, and it helps you to continue taking steps towards the life, the business, and the relationships that you actually want. So now I want to hear from you. What do you actually want? And what steps are you going to take today to move towards those things? If you've got heaps of desires, what you can do is ask yourself, what is the number one priority here? Which desire do I want the most? And then highlight the step that moves you towards that desire. Do that one first. We don't want to get overwhelmed. We want to keep things simple. The point of this exercise is not necessarily to take action on all of the desires, but to show you that you could take action on all of them if you wanted to. And then to decide, well, what's your priority? Knowing that you can come back to the other desires at some point in the future. So share with me in the comments or send me a message on Instagram at Leticia Ringe, or send me an email and let me know what it is you desire and what steps you're taking towards that desire. This is a way to really claim I'm creating the life I want and I'm having someone who believes in my dreams and desires, which I do, hold that vision with you. This is a great way to manifest, and it helps you show the universe that you are serious about your desires. Remember, this is your life. You get to choose whatever you want in your life. So choose what you actually want to create, and look at your life regularly and ask yourself, is this really what I want? Be grateful for the life you have and recognize what you want to be different. That's your job, and then empower yourself to make the shifts that you can to move towards your dreams. Now, if you want support as you create the life you want, this is what coaching is for. I can support you in my private coaching programs, which you can find all of the details about over at leticiaringe.com/coaching. On that page, you'll see all the details about my packages. You'll see that I have coaching programs for different areas of life, and you'll be able to choose which one meets you in your life right now and with the desire that you want to prioritize. I so look forward to reading starting your application there. Once again, go to leticiaringe.com/coaching. Finally, if you didn't hear the story that I sent out in my last newsletter about where this question we spoke about in today's episode came from and the story around that, I invite you to make sure that you're signed up to receive my email newsletters. I email you there with stories, tips, and inspiration that I just don't share anywhere else, and I'd love you to be a part of the community. This is where we get to connect on a deeper level and I get to know you. I love hearing your answers and getting your replies to our emails. You can sign up for that newsletter at leticiaringe.com/newsletter. All right, everyone, that's the end of today's episode. And in our next episode, I'm going to be sharing some of my own personal stories when it comes to creating a life, business, and relationships that I want. I'll see you there.